Hello and welcome to the Late Night Latte on Latte Firm. It's just gone 9 p.m. here on Sunday evening in the UK, and Arsenal are top of the league going into a very long break away from Premier League football, certainly for us, until we next meet Manchester City at the Etihad. Welcome, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Arsenal beaten Brentford by 2-1. Not quite the swashbuckling, free-flowing Arteta ball that we've seen since the calendar year, but it's a win. And it's a really important win because today the spoils were shared at Anfield, Liverpool drawing with Manchester City. And I've got a great panel to talk about it all. So we're going to talk about yesterday's win. We're going to talk about Ramsdale and how he went from villain to hero. We'll talk about Kai Havertz and what value he's bringing to this team. Benjamin William White. I think he deserves his flowers, and we're going to give him a dedicated slide to him as well. And we'll look obviously back at the game that was at Anfield this afternoon. We'll talk about what it means for the title race. And of course, we've got Porto to look forward to in just a couple of days' time. If you are watching on YouTube, please do like the video. It's a massive help to the channel. If we can get to 500 likes tonight, that would be sensational. It helps raise the profile of the channel as well. Please help us grow this community. Get involved in the chat, and we will head to the chat shortly. And of course, subscribe. Lots of content like this to come in the business end of the season. And welcome to everybody watching live on X. Wow, hundreds of you watching across both platforms already. And last Friday, we had a record show. I think there was like 1,700 people watching live at the same time on a Friday night. So listen, get involved. Can't wait to have this show. And I've got two great panelists, two big-time panelists coming up for you guys. Right, first up in the chat was Tamina, making this a regular. Hi, Latte FM. How are you doing today? I'm good. I'm looking forward to work this week. Always got that extra spring in my step when Arsenal have won, and we are sat at the top of the tree, Tamina. I hope you've had a smashing weekend, and I hope you're in good health and have a great week. Afsar Gunner says, evening FK in the firm. He follows up by saying, I was at the Emirates. Once again, I've lost my voice, singing, screaming non-stop for 90 minutes. The things I do for this club. Look, there's a couple of people in the background that are just about getting their voices back as well. Lemon Fear, Les Vogging, go guys. After this weekend's results, I cannot wait to see that Premier League table. Yes, we will end as always with the Premier League table and that jingle, of course. Paz of the Cat, evening FK, finished work at 10 p.m. and your dulcet tones reliving yesterday's game are just what I need to get through the last hour. I was praying for a draw. It's in our hands now. Let's fucking go. Lucio, good evening FK. Paz of the Cat also saying, just finished my break. Had a Waitrose almond croissant from the bakery for my snack check. Oh, Paz of the Cat, almond croissant. Oh, fantastic. V Vlad, good evening, FK and Firm. What a title race we have on our hands. Can we do it? Come on, you Gunners. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 Premier League teams in a title race with 10 games to go. Have we seen that before? That's an interesting one. Joss is in the house. Evening all, big week coming up. Let's do this. Always saying, hit the likes on the way in, Gooners. Yes, thank you so much. Get involved. 500 of you watching live on YouTube already. Karen says hello. And listen, Karen, and to all our queens out there, a very happy Mother's Day to all of you, and to those of you who haven't sadly got your mothers around or grandparents around. I wish obviously happiness to you guys as well on a day like this. It's a good day to be celebrating the achievements and everything that our mums and our wives and mothers all do. Randin Snorton says it's time. That's right, the Latte Firm is here. Oh, the chat is kicking off. Keep it coming. Let's bring in our guests. It's been a long time. It's been a long time for this guy, and he's finally back. He's sorting out his paternal responsibilities. It's Yembele. How are you, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How you doing?
I'm good. Where have you been? What's going on?
Oh, mate. My wife is MIA at the moment. Not MIA. She's doing
overseas, taking care of business.
Yeah, she's taking care of business. So I am looking after my little one. She's looking after me as well. She's doing getting through the school run, laundry, mate. The laundry mountain never stops. So, but also, do you know what? I enjoyed the game yesterday, and today I managed to watch both, Tottenham Villa and the Man City Liverpool game. The Tottenham one, oh jeez.
Let's not talk about them. Unai Emery, we know how the story ends. I don't know why those Arsenal fans who backed Unai Emery and still love him, Wayne.
Wait.
We know how the story ends. He is an embarrassment, and that is what's going to happen. 433, welcome, Yembele. It's good to have you on. Dipak Ruda says, yes, my G, let's fucking go, FK. Come on. And a shout out to Mozak, who stopped me at the Emirates at halftime while I was doing my business at the urinal. He looked me up and down and just said, hey, Latte firm? I was like, yes. And he stopped me for a selfie outside. Mozak, safe travels to wherever you came from, my friend. But it was a very, very big pleasure to meet you on that night. Henko, you know what's best thing is about Sunday? He says the shine from the happy FK. I'll be freshly buffed, no doubt. No less. Let me dive into those beautiful eyes. What a handsome definitely is. Henko, man, you get me every time. Let's bring in our other panelist. And this is a special guy, someone who has not been on the show for a while, taking a break from it all. It is Arsenal Was. Welcome
Hello,
back.
Geezer. How are we doing, boys? You good?
I'm good. Well, mate, you make me. I just seeing your face has just put a big smile on my face, man. Because I've missed you, man. You've. I know you've had a lot on in your life, and you're taking things sort of slow, but you're still going to the Arsenal and stuff. You've been well. You've been good.
Been keeping well, mate. Been enjoying this roller coaster ride that is getting to that final quarter now, and yeah, it's been sensational so far this season, and great to be back on here again with you boys having a chat about it all.
Oh, mate, it's great to have you back, and it's good to hear your voice as well. So, Callum, good evening. Waka, waka. Oh, yes. It's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me back. I.D939 says, Ramadan Mubarak, FK. Thank you. Ramadan Mubarak to everybody who's about to embark on a month of fasting. If you are that way inclined, I'm hoping it's going to be a very prosperous month for us all. And good luck to everybody. River Wild's in the house. Snack check. Roast tatties, veg and gravy. Oh, roast potatoes and gravy. My Achilles heel. What are you doing to me? Trevor De Vega's in the house. Good evening, lads. Flip Dark. We are top of the league. It's in our hands. Look, keep all the lovely chat coming through. Henka's happily in love. Yemba Demba is back with a heart emoji. Chaps, we're going to rip the plaster off straight away with the old snack check because my snack is looking at me seductively. Yembele, what you got for us tonight?
Right, so I'll start off with what it is, and then I'll show you the actual thing because I have to do this separately. So my thing is, it's the goo.
Oh, the goo. Oh, is that the goo pots?
Yes, no brownies. These are new. So this is a caramel version. So it has been delightfully warmed up in the microwave for 30 seconds. So it is.
I love how you brought the packaging with you as well, just to show the watching world.
Well, I can't.
Like I couldn't just bring the jar.
What savage? I'm not a Philistine. Excuse me. I'm not a Philistine. People need to be educated on what I'm having. And no, just to
go on then, take that first spoon, sunshine. Take that first spoon.
So
is it caramel on top?
Salted caramel, very nice. Do you know what I had? Because it comes in a pack of 2. I've already had one a couple of days ago. Delightful, I must say. Delightful.
Mate, the way your eyes roll back to the back of your head, mate. Let me tell you, yeah, that is art right there. I was getting a lot of love. Was is back in the house. Great to see Was. That's right, Josh. Oh yeah, Paz of the cat also in there with the flame emojis. Was, what have you got for us tonight, if anything?
I have, but it's shambolic. And to be honest with you, I've spent the whole day feeling pretty worse for wear after what I'd describe as a nice long day at the Arsenal yesterday. But mate, these are pathetic, but they're like little animal chocolate biscuits.
Oh, the classics.
Oh,
that's
yeah, classics, mate.
Yeah,
you can't
they
go
are.
wrong.
But yeah, there's only about 4 of them in there, and I'm not even sure I can get them down, mate. But I'll give it a go.
Give it a go, my
mate,
friend.
Must have been a really good day yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great day, mate. Yeah, when you're dancing around at 11:30 at night in a pub doing bloody wacka wacka, then you know you had a good day. Do you know what I mean?
Fantastic. Paul James says he's got almond fingers with hot chocolate. Flip Doc says A+ presentation from Yem. Ian has got Nobby's nuts. Yem Belle's not happy. 433 says snack check. Assam tea, which is a great tea, let me tell you. And as we're top of the table, millionaire shortbread courtesy of M&S. He knows.
Spectacular.
Rudy just shouting, we winning the UCL. Trevor De Vega says, wow, Was is back just like Arsenal. I suppose he went to Dubai. Yeah, hopefully you've come back all refreshed and Alpine.
I wish.
McCoy's chip shop curry sauce flavor. Chip shop curry sauce, McCoy's crisp.
That one.
I've not heard of that one either. Alpine, let us know if you're in the UK, my friend, because I'm going to have to go on a little bit of a pursuit. Today, I have some. So Yembella, you'll know this. Jelani's in Clayhall. They do the kebab lover pizza. So it's like bits of kebab on a pizza, and it's a leftover slice. And I love cold pizza, so I have a beautiful slice right here.
That's a good shout.
Oh mate, it's so good. Sweet corn, little bits of chicken, kebab, cheese, tomato, and every time. So there you go. That is my snack check. Sorry for talking with my mouth full. Wow, Italians are crying themselves through the show as I've completely butchered their pizzas. Juju says, time for some Was wisdoms. Right, with that, well, let's go straight into it. So thanks very much for joining. 900 of you watching live right now. please like. It's a massive deal for the channel, and it really helps raise the profile. And if you're watching on X, of course, do follow Latte Firm. Right, let's bring up the slides. As you've been away for a while, let's start with you straight away. King Kai obviously sealing the win. We're going to talk about Kai Havertz. We went into this game 7 out of 7. We went into this game knowing that Liverpool were going to play Manchester City today. Was it about just going out and smashing Brentford? Was the win the most important thing? Like, what was the mood like going into the Emirates yesterday for you, mate?
Mate, I was extremely confident. But you've got to appreciate in the Premier League, you are never going to be able to steamroll it the way we have been through games. I mean, we have just been, before, I know we're going to talk in depth, but realistically, the last sort of 4 weeks of football we've seen under Mikel Arteta is some of the best we've seen for a long, long time at the Arsenal. It has been sensational. We have been going to stadiums all over the country, emptying them before the 70th minute. We have been so good to watch. And the last sort of 2 squads, when I'm looking at them and I'm seeing who's available, who's on the bench, who's coming back. We had a squad, literally, we still no Timber, no Tomiyasu. Obviously, Zinni come back in, but the options there are absolutely frightening. Fabio Vieira's back in the fold. We've got so many different types of players, so many different ways of playing. And at the moment, it's really, really exciting to watch. And no matter who sort of gets the nod and who starts, and the team as well is evolving. Players are evolving within that team throughout the season. We made a sort of a slower start to the season this year, and we're building and gaining, and everyone's improving. So, yeah, I was entirely confident going into the game. I didn't, it's got to the stage where you're really not too bothered who starts, because we've got finishers. We've got serious finishers available to us, and we've got to mix it up. We've got to keep everyone fit, keep everyone engaged, keep everyone fighting. And for the first time, I think ever, we are now positioned to go into the final few months of the season getting stronger. And that is the key thing, because at this time, we've normally blown our load. We've been sensational, but we're struggling. We've got players out. We're hanging on for dear life, and we're trying to get through games. Mate, we are cruising at the moment. So yesterday, you just thought you got to get through it, mate. Whatever it takes. Like you said, the importance of the other game, we know they're playing each other. You just had to get them points, and it didn't matter how.
You're absolutely right. Just while you were talking, I brought up a message from Jay Punchell, who's one of our loyal viewers. He's having some birthday cake. Happy birthday, Jay. Hope you have a great year ahead, and best wishes for the remaining years that you have. Yembele, has just mentioned the depth. Yeah, the team was strong. We knew that Aaron Ramsdale was going to come into net because David Raya is loan tied, if you will. Benny White, who we'll talk about Ramsdale, of course. Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior playing at left back. And I want to get your thoughts on Kivior, because we've not had you on the channel for a while, and I'm really liking Kivior. I love what I see, and I know Zinchenko's fantastic in the build-up, but Kivior gives me just calmness, assuredness, but we'll come on to that later. Rice, Jorginho, Odegaard, and Yembele, we had Saka, Trossard and Havertz up top. Trossard, of course, coming in for Martinelli, who has a deep cut and was pictured on crutches at the Emirates, but he should be okay for the City game, maybe 50-50 for Tuesday. But the bench, Zinchenko, Partey, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Nketiah, Jesus, Tomiyasu's missing, Timber's missing. Like, all of a sudden, Yem, we're beginning to beef up that bench at the business end of the season. That must be encouraging for you.
Yeah, because as was said, last year was, we were ragtag pretty much. We were down to the bare bones where Holding was playing, because obviously Saliba got injured, which was not what anyone wanted. We're now doing the opposite way. We've not really overexerted ourselves. I will say that obviously the big disappointment is that we're not in the cup. We're not in as many cup competitions, or we're not as deep into the competitions as we'd like. But that aside, the injuries are starting to disappear. Obviously, we've got the long term in Yurin Timber, who will be back. But I think everyone's got to be realistic. We saw Timber, but you can't expect someone who's coming back from an ACL to come back swinging straight away. I think this time you just got to let him recover, get into the groove, and then next season I think we'll see the best of him. But Tomiyasu's coming back. The bench, as you said, looks much more stronger. And although Martinelli was out, was anyone like panicking? Last year would have been a blind panic almost, as we're down to this player, etc. So I think it's very positive, as was said, that we have got, where we've rotated well. And I think we had to rotate well now, because the other side of this has come after this international break, after Man City, the fixtures congest really badly because obviously our opponents are in the FA Cup, etc., and we're having to reschedule games. So, the Chelsea game was supposed to be, this coming weekend, and obviously because Chelsea are in the FA Cup, we are now out of that. So yes, we get a little bit of extra rest, but that doesn't mean that it's down tools, etc. We've got to manage it carefully. And although you said we've got a lot of, we've got a number of days till Man City after the Porto game, we've got an international break. This is my biggest worry. I hate internationals generally, and I'm not pleased, to be honest, that it's the Nations League, all this rubbish. That's my only worry. But otherwise, look, it's a strong squad, at the right time, and that's what we need. Because going up against these two, as we saw today, it's just going to be such a fight. Every point you've got to scrap for. We need every player because, as yesterday showed, we need to rotate well when things aren't going the way that we planned.
I appreciate your words about not worrying when Martinelli was out and Trossard comes in. I was worried. I think Martinelli brings this directness, this aggressiveness on the flank, this energy. Trossard just isn't cutting it for me. I think he's more of an impact player. Martinelli's a big miss, but I kind of understand your sentiment. A couple of quick things before we move on to the match stats and whatnot. Flipdoc saying last season we had a great team. Now we've got a great squad with the injuries starting to clear up. Absolutely key. Alex also saying Jorginho's fitness will be key, as he's so important to how we play. Of course, King Kai did seal the win, and Arsenal beat Brentford by 2-1. That goal coming in the 86th minute, which we'll talk about shortly. But let's move on to the match stats and key moments. As you can see, courtesy of PremierLeague.com and Opta Analyst, the stats on there was... we've been playing free-flowing football this calendar year. We've been pumping out the XG and pumping teams 3, 4, 5, 6 even. I look at the stats now and I think, okay, of course, we won 2-1. The XG is probably... obviously a fair reflection, 1.32 to less than 1 for Brentford. 17 shots on goal for Arsenal, 6 on target. It didn't feel like that was. It was a real sort of stop-start. They were stifling us with their rotational sort of injury claims, and the keeper was wasting time from the get-go. Like, I look back in the stats now, and I've actually just watched the entire game prior to coming on air, and yeah, it didn't feel like any of the games that we've played in 2024. Why do you think that was?
I think you hit the nail on the head already with Martinelli's situation, because Leo, we all know what kind of footballer Leo is and what he does bring you, but it's so hard for teams to defend against Arsenal when they've got Saka and Martinelli, when you can go both ways, and it's just the pure pace, the speed, the movement off the ball. I mean, Martinelli, the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks, has just been absolutely incredible. His movement off the ball, he's going up levels. He's literally improving right in front of our eyes. And I think it becomes a little bit too predictable on that left side, especially with Kirill, who isn't going to overlap, isn't going to get in the final third. It kind of almost limits us and sort of sends the attack. They can very easily send the attack the way that they want to. As you say, it didn't seem, statistically, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like a regular performance, but it didn't feel that way in the ground, and it felt like a bit of a struggle. But do you know what? I like games like that because it's so good winning every week the way we have been, but it's not sustainable. You cannot do that in this league. I keep mentioning it. You will come unstuck one of the weeks. And if you get a game like this and you respond and you find a way, you really do find a way. And for me as well, I know we're going to go and talk about the goal scores and stuff, but the physicality, the way we can just ping a ball in the box and get a goal, that we, for too long, since Giroud left the club, we've been in so many games and so many situations where you think, look, we just need to get the ball in the box here and try and do something different. And, to win a game like that with 2 headers at home, tough, really, like you said, Brentford game, they're up for it. To actually get through it, that means more than absolutely anything. So it's nice to look back at the stats and how many chances created and all that. But ultimately, in a game like that, sometimes you just have to say, do you know what? Let's get out of here. We're happy now. We've got the points and we move on.
We do. And you're right. To your point earlier, there is a satisfaction about winning games 3, 4, 5, and even 6, right? Don't get me wrong. We all want to win games like that comfortably, and we want to remove the jeopardy, I guess, in games. But there is something, and I said this in the quick reaction video. If you've not watched that, it's on the channel feed, guys, and there's well over 1,500 of you watching live now, which is amazing. There is something about being level or chasing a game and chasing and hunting and knocking and trying to get that goal. And in that time, you're building up this hatred for your opposition, for the officials, and the nervousness, the sort of intensity being in the ground, and certainly from watching wherever you guys are watching all over the world, and you're biting your nails and you're looking at the clock and you're just thinking, is it going to happen? And then when that ball is just floated into the box and Havertz gives you that bullet header and the net ripples and the roar and just your heart, that 60 seconds just slows down for me, man. And I'm at like the doors of heaven. You can't explain it. Like that euphoria you feel in that moment, it releases a different type of endorphin. But yeah, I love that description was. Yeah, I brought up the attacking threat chart, the field tilt, as people like to call it. You can see that, I mean, certainly you've been on the channel recently more often than most, and we're normally very, very dominant. But Brentford did have their moments, and at dangerous moments as well. I mean, we'll talk about the Wissa goal shortly, but Ivan Toney, the header from Collins, could have been a very different story on another day.
Yeah, look, I don't think we can, I don't think anyone discounted Brentford. They're still a good team with good weapons, Ivan Toney, Johan Wissa, etc. So you don't discount them. I think we were all confident, as I'm sure all of us were, because obviously the form coming in, at the start of 2024. But you can never discount Brentford. Always a good team. I think they've just had a slight, injuries have affected them this season. Still a very good, and the weapons they've got can always cause problems. And they did. Look, as you said, Faiz, we had a little disruption in this game. The fact is there was disruption because you're taking out two big components of our standard 11 in the goalkeeper and our left winger. So there was naturally going to be some disruption. And obviously Brentford were playing almost like a Porto type performance where they were disrupting the play, trying to slow it down somewhat to stop us from building up any momentum. And they did that very well. Look, the fact is they did it they were a bit cheeky, pushing the limits. Yeah, I think there should have been penalties, but they did what they had to do. I mean, I don't blame them necessarily. It's not something I like. But if you're a team in that position, and unfortunately their position is quite low in the table, they are skirting with the relegation zone, then they're going to have to do what they did. And, what would you do in that position? So they made it difficult for us. And I think they could, they had chances. I think we were dominant in terms of passing, and I think we did create decent chances. I don't think we were as effective as we've been in the last couple of weeks where we've absolutely blown teams away. But there was still a measure of control. I still think we did well physically. I just think that, Brentford have got good weapons, and they were going to, you can't expect every team not to perform. Brentford are still very, very good. And that's how it turned out. Look, the goal may have been freak, and we'll talk about it eventually, but they still have the physical, well-balanced, well-drilled team with a good manager. So I wasn't expecting it to be a rollover, like the Sheffield United game. I think Sheffield United are absolutely, dross. But Brentford have been a good Premier League team for a number of years. So I wasn't expecting anything less than what we got. And so it turned out to be.
It was Big Deckers who opened the scoring for Arsenal. And like you say, it was a Ben White assist across a little dink into the box, and he rose and gave us the lead after 19 minutes. It was probably deserved because I thought we started the game pretty well. When we did the breakdown on Declan Rice when we signed him, we talked about his defensive prowess and his strength and his dynamism and the way that he just eats up grass and covers yards. And one of the things that I kind of thought I talked about was that he'd only scored 4 goals at West Ham, and it was going to be interesting to see how maybe he tries to get in and amongst the danger zones and in amongst the goal scorers. And he's got 6 this season already. Talk us through the goal, but also talk about, maybe if that's an area that you'd expect him to push on.
Mate, 1,000,000%. I said at the time we've signed him as a left 8. I think Partey's injury has prevented that from happening this season as much as we'd like to see. And Kai, and when we signed Kai as well, I was adamant that it was going to be in rotation for Jesus because they are stylistically, you can see when Havertz is up there, it gives us a similar way. It gives us a way of playing. It gives us a focal point. And Declan is just an incredible footballer. He's got so much more to his game than just sat in front of the back four. That's never where he should be. He is an all-action, box-to-box monster. The mentality on this guy, like he just knows where to be at all times, and everything for him is just so simple. Like you said, the way he eats up ground, his intelligence, and the goal was just so good. The way we, you know, we've done it quite a few times this season where you're so used to seeing modern fullbacks overlap, and a lot of the time Benny White is now sending Saka wide, and he just drops in. He just drops himself into that space. He's there unmarked. He gives himself. That's all manufactured, the way we move the ball, and he knows we're going to be left. And then as soon as that comes back, Rice is there, mate, and he knows he's on his way. An absolutely fantastic delivery, but what a header as well. But I mean, Declan is 100 million. We all know it's not enough money for this guy. He is an absolute different gravy. We've said from day one, you can play him in a multitude of positions, and he's still going to be the best player on the pitch. And if we keep him fit along with our two centre backs, and we can bring Partey back into the fold, we're going to be a match for any team on the planet, mate. And we're coming into these thick and fast games, and the fitness of a guy like that, that's when it really rings true, and you really, really see. But yeah, what an incredible footballer. Watching him week in, week out is a joy, real joy.
He should have had two, shouldn't he?
Yeah,
that shot against the post was unreal.
Exactly. I mean, the strike, mate, from distance, and he's just. You see these things evolving. This is what I was saying about earlier. The team is evolving throughout the season. We saw the first sort of half of the season, Kai Havertz was left 8, Declan Rice was sat in at 6. You know, we weren't sort of firing. We were struggling to get the ball out wide quick to our wingers. We weren't really isolating teams. And gradually, as you see, they're getting more confidence, more momentum. Havertz is now playing that sort of false 9 role. He's getting in them positions where he was for Leverkusen during his best years. We're starting to see the very best of him. He's starting to move Rice further up the pitch. And these players are all evolving as the season goes. You mentioned Kirior, another player that is going on leaps and bounds. He was so stiff when he first came in, but he's gradually changing, evolving. You know, Ben White, they're all taking up different positions, doing different things. And it's just all happening so naturally. And it's so exciting to see, because we have multiple ways of playing. And this is just within individuals, you know, within a system. Rice can sit in front of the back 4, he can go left 8, Havertz can play in midfield. You know, there's so many different ways of playing. And so many different types of players to put into this team. It's all about, Mikel, the next month, the 9 games in 30 days. How can you manage it? How can you deal with it? But what a signing Declan Rice is.
Can I also say, one of his best attributes, and we say this about any player, is his availability. Your availability is your best strength. And he's been available, I think, has he missed any games?
Well, he went off in the North London derby, annoyingly, frustratingly. Remember at half-time with that sort of stomach bug, and I think had he stayed on the pitch, we'd have won that. But you're right, I mean, we've talked about Granit Xhaka in that sort of mould in recent years. You know, reliability, ever-presence, being available for your coach, for your team is a great quality. 433 says Declan is a 6 or an 8 or a both. This is what Arteta wants, versatility. He does it all, and Declan Rice got us off to the perfect start. It was a fairly straightforward first half. And Yembele, sticking with you, it did turn sour just before, of course, half-time. And I want to focus on Aaron Ramsdale because obviously we have to. You know, he went from sort of villain to hero. These images courtesy of now_Arsenal. And it kind of tells a story. I mean, look, he came in after weeks of not playing. His last appearance was Liverpool in the Cup. It's obviously because David Raya is loan tied. Had a few moments in that first half where he was hesitant in releasing the ball as quickly as maybe Raya would. And when this moment came, Gabriel plays a ball deep into injury time, 49, 50 minutes on the clock. Ramsdale cushions it. The ball rolls to his right, and he kind of should have seen Wissa running towards him, because Wissa's quick. If he's done his homework, he'd have known that. Unfortunately, the ball's ricocheted off Wissa into the back of the net, and you know, Ramsdale fell to his knees, looking straight up at the North Bank, and I felt for him so much. Like, just a disastrous moment for a guy who's clearly struggling with confidence and any sort of joy at the moment, because he's been ousted as the #1 goalkeeper. What were your thoughts at that moment, Yem? Because you were watching on telly. I mean, you must have been madly frustrated.
Yeah, I was deeply frustrated. I think any Arsenal fan is, because it's such a gift of a goal. Unfortunately, you know, obviously Wissa's made the run to close down Ramsdale, but it was a gift. And unfortunately, you know, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't happen, but this one did. You know, he closed down in a hopeful vein. Ramsdale, unfortunately, you know, had that moment where he tries to control the ball, whereas, you know, Raya probably will, you know, pass it out directly. Ramsdale tried to cushion it and then pass it out, and unfortunately, he got paid for it. It's very frustrating, and I do sympathise with Aaron Ramsdale. He has, you know, to your point, Faisal, he must have lost confidence. He was the #1. He was on an upsurge with England. He was looking to be the number one. He was challenging. He just helped the team to the Champions League. But then obviously very, very quickly he was, usurped by David Raya, because obviously Arteta wanted Raya from the get-go, even before Ramsdale. This was the keeper that he wanted. And when it came along, he didn't hesitate. And Mikel is ruthless in that way. That's just how he is. And I don't put anything on Arteta for this. The problem is for Ramsdale, he has been asked to do something. The team plays now in a certain way, and the expectation with Raya being the number one, the regular goalkeeper, is that he passes very well, and then the defenders are used to passing in a certain way and being comfortable in knowing that the goalkeeper can do this and that. Unfortunately, Aaron is not as comfortable as Raya on the ball. Fair play. And unfortunately, yesterday, I think it was just that kind of that muscle memory of Gabriel went, okay, I'll pass it back to the keeper. He knows how to pass it out, or we can recycle and go again. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. The thing is, we all know Aaron is not as good as David Raya on the ball. I think everyone appreciates that. It's just that, unfortunately, when he has come in, and he's come in at West Ham, etc., there have been issues. Is he the same player as he was last season? No, it's confidence, isn't it? Every goalkeeper thrives on confidence, and unfortunately, his confidence must be absolutely shattered. Although I will say, to your point, Faisal, on the slides, the second half, he was immense. The saves he made, that save from Ivan Toney was unreal.
Well, let's bring Woz into the chat about Rambo as well. So, we've conceded that goal. Everybody was disappointed. And I've got to say, a couple of observations. As soon as the ball went in, it was Jorginho of all the players who came sprinting to Rambo, put his arm around him, obviously whispered in his ear, presumably something along the lines of, look, get your head up, we'll be fine. As soon as the kickoff was taken, the ball went straight back to Ramsdale just to get that first touch out of his system. And it was just terrible. And then, of course, all the Arsenal fans were on their feet, sort of, rallying for Rambo. He sort of clapped us before he went in at half-time. He came out in the second half, and at that moment, he's probably feeling so low as a human being, like he's lost his number one spot. He's just made a clanger. Depending on who you follow and who you know on socials, a good friend of mine, many of you will know AF Camden, he's talked about Ramsdale. It's been a difficult week for Rambo in training this week. Maybe because he's expecting to play for the first time in a long time. Maybe because he's thinking in the back of his mind, this is potentially my last ever appearance at the Emirates in front of the Arsenal fans. Emotionally, it can be quite testing, and people, he's a person at the end of the day. So the second half performance that Yem just alluded to was big. The Toney save, the Collins save from that header. Like, there are players that would crumble in that situation. And then the audacity for him to celebrate it as well when we scored the winner.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just sums up Ramsdale's maybe time at Arsenal, and it sums him up as a player. What did you make of that second half, Woz? And I mean, feel free to talk about Wissa's goal as well.
Yeah, I mean, the response from the individual was fantastic, but the reality is you're having to make a response like that, and why? And I think that's the long and short. I think that Southampton game last season, when he literally give it away after 7 seconds or whatever, and I think that was the end for Arteta. And I think we've seen Ramsdale make these stupid lapses of concentration. The guy's come out and said himself that he can't concentrate on the pitch for 90 minutes. So, look, I was a massive Aaron Ramsdale fan. I still think he's a top keeper. I still think he should be England's number one. But what I would say, watching David Raya, the difference is actually quite huge. Yeah. It really is quite huge. And it's one of those that initially you wouldn't appreciate it, but when you actually sit there and you get a consistent run of games, and obviously it helps when things are going well. I mean, we conceded 4 shots on target in 5 Premier League games, which is absolutely astonishing statistic. Like, for that to even happen is just crazy. So, but a lot of that comes from, as Yen was alluding to, the confidence of the defenders. Everyone knows Raya's available, and yeah, it's a tough situation for Aaron Ramsdale. And as you said, I mean, I would expect that to be his last appearance in an Arsenal shirt. Providing Raya doesn't get injured, I just don't think he will play for us again. And it's nothing personal against Aaron Ramsdale. And as you said, his response in the second half was magnificent. It's great to make them saves and be there. But he only completed 14 of his 32 attempted passes. And,
is that right?
That's correct. Yeah,
wow.
he only completed 14 of 32 attempted passes in that game.
Wow.
I mean, the vast majority are obviously long balls, but when you see the accuracy of Raya's distribution, it's so important for a team like us. And it's Edison and Alisson are the 2 best, and we all know that. But aside from that, you can't get another Edison and Alisson. So for the way we play, you need a David Raya, and obviously that is what it is. But I just don't. There's a big love in with Ramsdale, and I get it. He's obviously homegrown, he's English, and we all want him to do well. But for me, for the best for the team, I think this is the right decision. And I think the more and more I've seen it, it's becoming true. And it's just in the build up, everything, the speed of the speed of thought when he gets the ball. Like Raya looks up, he's gone. He's something's happening. Long balls are going or whatever. It's like Ramsdale's almost slowing things down, and and it's just, and yes, of course, that comes with confidence and game time and consistency, and a lot of that it counts for keepers as much as it does for an outfield player. But I think there's a reason why, and I've been convinced over the last sort of few months, it's really shown to light just why Raya was signed and the difference it does make. But if that is Rambo's last act in an Arsenal shirt, then wish him the best of luck. I think we'll go on and get a decent fee for him, and he'll go on and have a fantastic career, and he'll go to a top club. But there's just not room for the two of them, is there? Unfortunately, and when you're making mistakes like that, when you do get your opportunity, it really, really doesn't help you, because it's all right now because we won the game. But if we didn't, and your only act of the whole second half of the season was to come on and cost us the title, it's just it sounds ruthless, but that's the way I think you've got to be the top teams out there, And Ramsdale will obviously have been more upset than anyone about the situation, but massive credit to the response. 2 great saves, a save from the header, and as you said, the Ivan Toney strike from distance. He had to be alive, move his feet quickly, got his hand up and made the save. So, emotional times for everyone involved, but thankfully we got the 3 points, and we can move on and forget about Ramsdale's mistake and thank him for everything he has done. And if Raya does get injured, then we know we've got a top number 2 to come in for the rest of the season and see us through. But he's just got to stay switched on if he does, mate.
Indeed. Listen, I've said on this channel, certainly after we signed David Raya for a few months, that I couldn't see the tangible difference between the two. I had this sentimental attachment to Ramsdale, and I still love him. Like, I'm not ready to see him in a Chelsea kit or a Newcastle kit or wherever he's going to be. And I wish him, of course, the very best. He's 25 years old. He's got many, many years ahead of him as a goalkeeper. It's difficult to see him this way, like after he's given us memorable years, a couple of years while we were in transition. But you're right, David Raya has come in and he set the standard, and I didn't see it coming. Like, I didn't realize just how good he was. I always just thought, he's at Brentford, he's facing lots of shots. That's why he's getting, all of these accolades. But he's genuinely top class. And look, just to further reinforce the point that it's been a tough week, I think Ramsdale's comment there on the right-hand side, you can see that he posted after the game, look, it was tough out there. Special to be back. I owe my teammates and the amazing fans, for the support that he gets in week out. And Big Deck has kept us in it, brother. We stick together with the heart emoji. It's good to see the unity. And I think it was Saliba who said after the game, and this was really touching. It's great to hear from William Saliba, but Big Saliba was saying, we make mistakes. I made a couple of mistakes, led to goals, but we stick with each other. I wouldn't have expected anything different, but I like that unity. And again, before I move on to my point, when you're in the ground, you see things that maybe you don't see on camera. Jorginho and Gabriel ran straight to Rambo, arms around him, picking him up. And I'm so pleased for him. If this is the last game that we ever see for him playing for Arsenal at the Emirates, then, it's kind of sums it up with the low and the high. The lows are painfully low and the highs are phenomenal. The saves that he made, particularly from Collins, brilliant. And I'm glad that you got to celebrate right at the death, because they were singing some pretty horrific songs about David Raya towards the end, the Brentford fans comparing him to Rambo. So there we are. We did, of course, keep knocking. We did, of course, get the winner. And it's 60 million down the drain. Was sticking with you because we've heard Yem talk about Kai Havertz over the weeks. 4 goals in 4 league games, 2 assists in that time as well. The image on the right-hand side, if people are remembering while they're watching, and there are over 2,000 of you watching live right now, which I'm immensely grateful for. Please do follow Latte Firm on X if you're watching on X, and get involved in the chat. And if you're watching on YouTube, please drop a like. Every like is a massive help to the profile of the channel. If we get to 500 tonight, that'd be phenomenal. The Athletic, their journalists, their writers, they voted at the start of the season for the worst deal of the window. And Kai Havertz there you can see as top. Arteta knew what he was doing, wasn't he?
100%, mate. And as I alluded to earlier, it's an evolution. You're bringing a damaged player in that has had immense potential, serious ability as a younger player. His physical attributes are so vastly underrated. He is so important for that team. He covers so much ground. He's strong. He's a target man. He's an outlet. He's an annoying player to play against. But what he does so well is he almost Meza-esque. He drifts in between lines. He finds spaces and he just does the simplistic thing. It's never. He's always just getting in areas, moving the ball, I'll move again. Like, you know, and the movement, if you watch for the goal, just so clever. It's subtle. It's so subtle, but he goes to go. The defender thinks he's just going to run straight into it, and he just stops. And while the whole pitch is going crazy with 5 minutes left at the Emirates, we're chasing the game. As you said, the North Bank's sucking the ball in. The feeling in the stadium, you can feel it. It's almost like a buzz. It's like a background buzz around you that is just taking over the whole pitch. And in that moment, he had the intelligence and the quality just to stand there. And sometimes standing still is the best thing you can possibly do. And as that's all gone around him, he's found himself in 3 yards of space. The delivery was absolutely fantastic, but it's just them slight moments of intelligence that make the huge difference. And the thing with Havertz, he's not flash, he's not a standout, skillful. He is just such a functional footballer. And very, like I keep saying Mesut because he's different to Mesut in ways, but he's very similar in many. And it's just his simplicity that really works. And now you're seeing him add numbers to his game. People will start taking note. And I do think as a rotation and as an additional option to Gabriel Jesus, I think that is 100% where Kai Havertz belongs in this team, because he can definitely do a job at left 8. But when you see the difference that someone like Declan makes in that role, you just sort of understand that, you know, Kai, as I said, can do a job there, but I really think him on the last line, drifting deep, dropping between lines, linking play, providing that option and arriving into the box, he's just so good at it. And in these Leverkusen days, just sensational. If you ever get people who haven't watched him, then just get an opportunity, go back, watch YouTube compilation of him, 20 minutes of it, and just sit there and watch him and what he can offer. And we're starting to see a lot of that in an Arsenal shirt. And, you know, he's took absolute pelters, as per you can see there. Everyone's saying it's the worst deal. His career started slow at Arsenal. He got that penalty just to try and get him off the mark, and it was stuttering. And we're trying to get Kai playing, and all of a sudden it's like that weight has just been lifted off him, and he feels he belongs. And it's something that's so important in this squad. You can look at him, and you look right through the team, and everyone knows, and everyone feels, and everyone belongs. And that's when you've built something, and now we're reaping the rewards of it. So it's fantastic to see Havertz happy and scoring, and he also doesn't really seem phased. You know, he's not that emotional. If he gets major criticism and he gets major praise, I don't think he cares. You know, I think he's just going to keep doing his thing, keep being Kai Havertz, and he scored 1 Champions League final winner. So when he runs through at Wembley and slots that Champions League winner, mate, oh, he will be going down in folklore, won't he? But I'm so happy for him, and honestly, his attributes are so important to us. And as I said, alluded to earlier, when you're late in that stage of the game and you want to just put the ball in the box, we've got some absolute monsters to attack now with Rice, the centre-backs, Kai Havertz. You know, it's a different dimension. And being able to have Jesus and Havertz there for that sort of last 10 minutes is just, it was good, mate. But brilliant from Kai. Love his attitude, love his application to the game, love the way he plays the game. And I think he's one of them that might never be liked by most, but people will start appreciating and start realising what he actually does is very underrated, understated and important for us. So, yeah, top man.
He is. And listen, again, I'm going to stick my hand up and say, look, I was perplexed when we brought him in from Chelsea, because I thought, not that lot, not helping them with their FFP, 60 million quid. And we did the breakdown, and you know, we were told that he's actually really quick and he works hard and he finds himself in intelligent spaces and all this, that, and the other. He's versatile and never hides, like you've just said was. But the stats were like really poor in terms of return. But then you try and sort of think about Chelsea being quite dysfunctional, but he's coming, and I stand corrected, by the way. Vive Lad saying, FK, those weren't the Athletic writers, but rather football agents who were asked. But the point still stands. 2021 summer, they voted White as the worst signing of the summer. We're going to talk about Benjamin William White shortly. Richard Banks says it's the same scenario as Martin Odegaard, undervalued gem of a player. 433, reinforcing what you were saying was, is it me or is he looking less languid now? He looks a different player. Arteta ID, talent ID, sorry, is incredible, he says. Hamid Khan, welcome Hamid, says Havertz is 8, 9 and 10 rolled into one, plus adds to immense physicality in both boxes, accelerates our games with single touches. He does. His physicality is really, really understated. Jay Panchel, birthday boy, says, I'm so happy for Kai. I think it's starting to click for him at Arsenal. Yem, you were watching from home. Sai Walder was saying, I trod on an upside down plug celebrating. I hope you avoided such misfortune. What was it like watching it on TV? Because you must have been egging Arsenal on. Obviously, you weren't able to go to the game. You're a season ticket holder. You couldn't join us. But when that net bulged and he wheels away to the corner flag and you can see the crowds in the lower stands are going absolutely nuts, what sort of a release was it for you?
It was really weird because obviously I felt that it was coming. I thought it would do at some point. It was just how it came about, because obviously the longer it drags out, the more you're like, oh, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And we're not really that, as was said before, it's great to see 2 headers because we don't usually do that. It's starting to come along because obviously we've got the height and presence now. So it took me by a little bit of surprise when it was a nice float ball by Benny White. But no, it was just a big release in terms of just being there. And it was such a simplistic goal. It's one that we don't score enough of. Just a nice cross in and a header. We usually do the cutbacks, etc., and we're very good at that. But the variation into having 2 goals from headers is always good, and to win it that way with some good positioning as well, it's always going to be joyous because, as you said, Faisal, at the start, Brentford had made it such an attritional game. They built up this hatred. I built up that hatred, as you said, that in-game hatred. They're just slowing the game down. Then they're making it awkward. They're just doing everything they can to make this. I just want to win. And when Kai scored, you could tell the whole stadium. You can tell us better than most. But the players, the release, Saliba, going mad, completely mad. It's that kind of. They knew it was a big goal because Brentford, although they had had a few shots, weren't really. I don't think they were necessarily challenging in the game. They had got a few opportunities, but it was getting to that feeling. 86 minutes. We done enough? Were we going to get the goal we deserved? Because obviously we'd had a few chances. Corners again. We hadn't made. We didn't really get anything from them. Were we going to get this goal? And obviously, as that tension builds up, then obviously you get that release, and in the players and the fans, everyone at home, it was just special. It always, it's always great. And when Kai, I think, has been amazing in the last couple of games. I think he could have had another one. That's something to work on. But he's been instrumental in terms of his physical presence, his movement, creating space for other players. He really is starting to look like as was said, the Leverkusen days. If you watch him there, he plays as the second attacker effectively off the striker, but this time he's obviously doing the false 9, which I think just suits him more. He's not your out and out striker. He never will be. He just doesn't have that. He's not that person. But what he does give you is he's a disruptor. He creates space with his movement, as was said, and also gives you a presence in the box. The thing is again, teams fear us now with our physical presence at corners, in the tunnel, as we've seen now with the many memes. It's just really good to see, and I think Kai's part of that. He's just, the return of his confidence from a manager who presumably is just saying, "I believe in you. I believe you. I'm playing you. I believe in you. I believe in your ability." That's probably just given him that belief, just to say, "Okay, he believes in me. I'm going to just give my all." Because the other thing we're seeing is he's just eating up ground. He presses really well as well, and it's just really nice to see, that he's taken belief in Mikel Arteta's plan and vision for him. I think next season's going to be really, really a breakout season for him. I think he's going to do some big things next season.
Oh, well, at the rate he's going at the moment, he might do big things this season. Can I just pause to say, Dobbo's just tweeted, messaged in saying 1,700 people watching live on X right now. Wow, he says. Thank you. There are 2,300 of you watching live across all platforms right now, which is insane. Like, I don't know what to say. But if you are on YouTube, please like the video. It's a massive help to the channel and raises the profile. Subscribe, of course, if you're new. And if you are watching on X, please do follow Latte Firm. You can get post-match phone-ins on a match day. You can get quick reaction videos and, of course, late-night latte chats. Let's move through the slides, ladies and gents, boys and girls, and talk about Benjamin William White. I'm just going to come straight to you, mate, because I just want to hear you eulogize about a player, and I want that player to be Benny White. I mean, let me set the scene. He joined from Brighton, having sterling seasons at Leeds, and, was he going to be a right back? Was he going to be centre-back, right-sided centre-back? Was he going to maybe be as the defensive midfielder? He's made right back his own. He is a phenomenal player in my mind. He's been a bit hit and miss this season in that pre-Dubai, he was carrying something or nursing something. Wasn't quite the same player. Post-Dubai, with a, replenished suntan, the man is on fire. Just talk to me about the value this guy brings.
I think the suntan is the clincher, mate, to be honest with you. Benny Blanco.
Benny Brown. Benny
Yeah.
Brown. Come on, mate.
Mate, honestly, I mean, where do you start with him? He's a serious footballer. And the best thing about Benny Blanco is his attitude. He just does not give a shit, does he? He really does not. He just dismisses everyone. He must be awful to play against because he's just a wind-up merchant, but his quality on the ball, his intelligence, he's very functional as well. He's growing. Like you said, in that fullback role, he really is growing. He's become a threat this season down the right. And like you said, the first half of the season, I think the team itself, I keep alluding to it, but we almost went through a small period of not pain, but there was periods where we were questioning ourselves. We had a lot of people out injured. We weren't quite getting the results. Things weren't looking great. All the signings are being questioned. But for all that noise, they just went to Dubai, got the tan, and then came back, and we are blitzing everyone. But Ben White, I mean, technically, he's just so composed, so sound, and he's one of these players. He doesn't look physically big, but he's so wiry. He's so strong. He's really, really, really hard to knock off the ball. He'll go toe to toe with any centre forward out there, and he just knows. He gets his body in the right positions. He picks up nice little free kicks, and his in-game intelligence is just so good. And like I said, he's a shithouse. But you need players like that in the squad. When you look through that team and the strength, and Yen kept alluding to it, the physicality we've got. Ben White is a big part of that, a real big part of that. And when you look across the back four, the centre of the park with Declan Rice, and then you look up with Kai and people like that, and even Saka's Saka and Martinelli, their physicality, their levels are so high. And if you've got someone like Ben White performing week in, week out, it's just very, very important to us. And then we've also got the versatility when Tomiyasu and Timber are back. The options are there, horses for courses, different styles. But, the only touch wood, and we really hope this doesn't happen, but if something did happen to Saliba, Ben White would surely have to drop into that right centre-back role. And of course, he's not Saliba's level, but I think he would, the difference between a Rob Holding going in there or a Ben White going in there and putting Tomiyasu or someone out of the fullback, I think, we'd cope way better this season. And of course, we hope that Saliba and Gabriel play every single game, but them two are monsters, and we are going to need rotation at some point. You can't play 9 games in 30 days and kick every minute of every ball. It's just going to become impossible. So there may well come a time where Ben White's versatility and strength and ability and in-game intelligence just comes to the fore, and he has to cover in there. So such an important footballer, so underrated by everyone else, absolutely loved by us, and they're the kind of players you fucking love to have.
Hey, listen, it's completely understandable why Mikel Arteta is bringing on Cedric, every 20 minutes, 15 minutes here and there, because he just needs protection. And there's 9 games coming up in 30 days. He's buccaneering up and down that right side flank, overlapping with Saka, cut inside, inverting midfield, hopping up in those half spaces and dinking those crosses across. And your point about physicality is really important. That left image there, there's been a couple of images in recent games where we've had Arsenal players in the tunnel and we're looking to force. Wenger used to do it. Back in the Invincibles days, the game was lost in the tunnel. You had these 6 foot plus men, these beasts, and if they're not quite 6 foot, you've got Saka and Martinelli who are going to have you on toast. And the fear goes through the system of the opposition. One thing, Yem, that I love about Ben White, as much as his footballing ability, is basically his shithousery. And there's a lot of comments coming in. Flip-top first up, Benny Blanco versus the opposition keeper on corners, my favourite subplot during matches. There was a moment in yesterday's game in the second half when they're shooting towards the North Bank, where Ben White is just being dragged around by the defender, right? And so Benny White gives it back to the defender, and then he just starts laughing in the defender's face. And I forget the name of the defender. It was number 27, I think, short guy. And then the guy's like outraged, like he's screaming at all the Arsenal players and pushing Ben White away. And then Ben White just like from just a stone cold face just starts bursting out laughing in his face even more, like Sam Allardyce. There's a gif. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Sam Allardyce on the touchline. He's like right in the defender's face. And honestly, he was so rattled. I love that. That is, I mean, he's a class right back. He's a fantastic player. But the shit housing, I live for it. Like I really live for it. Yeah, I mean, you obviously see those moments. What are your thoughts on Benjamin? Because like Was says, he's versatile. He's class, and ever since the Dubai break, he's been, worthy of player of the match yesterday, but potentially our one of our best players in this recent run.
Yeah, I think in the recent run since January, obviously the top-up tan must have helped somewhere because it's just a different level. Once he's injury-free, he's just been, there was just before that, when we started the season, there was this kind of joke going around, about Ben White running up slowly behind Saka, keep running, wait for Ben White, after it, there's been some lung-busting runs from him and he's been overlapping regularly. So clearly he was carrying something. In terms of the shithouse, I mean, Benny's one of the best I've seen because he doesn't do it in an obvious way. He does it in little sly things. And I love that because it's not obvious. When it's obvious, then you say, you hate that person. But Benny does it off the ball. He does it, he does little things. He's just such a wind-up merchant. And you don't get that from him. In the interviews, he's very deadpan. He hates interviews. When he only talks to Jan Fjortov, because I think he just likes the whole deadpan kind of thing, and it's all very, very serious. And that's it's such a weird, dichotomy with him. His psychological profile is so weird because in the game he just seems like such an arse, and when you get out of the game, he's just like, yeah, it was a great game. Don't want to talk anymore. Thanks, bye. And you're like, that's not the person you see on the field. And it's every game. Do you know what? This Porto game coming up is going to be very interesting because the Porto game in Portugal, again, they were literally falling over themselves around every player. Benny was getting it. Ben White, because obviously everyone's identified he's the blocker effectively on the goalkeeper, and they played to it kind of. And Ben White, I think he loves that role. I think he absolutely, when they probably set it up, he was like, "Who's gonna stand in the goalkeeper? Oh, that's me, mate. It's me because I love this. This is what." And it's like everyone said, it's a subplot, but it's so funny to watch because he throw one of the players, or he threw one of the players to the floor and just went,
"Yeah." That was moments after. Like I find him one of the most intriguing characters in this team.
really?
Like he's like you say, his camera stuff away from the pitch. There's that famous interview where he's like, "Yeah, we're quite good at football," and then just the way that he is on the pitch, like he's so intelligent. He's obviously so good. He's brilliant, and I'm really frustrated with myself that I've dedicated a slide to him today just because he's got the 2 assists yesterday, but this has been simmering away. Like Ben White has been in absolutely awesome form, and another player that we just hope stays fit, but. Yeah, and there's a few people in the chat sort of saying, really pleased that he's not playing for England. I think it's criminal that he doesn't play for England. I know why he doesn't play for England. I can't reveal it sadly, but it's hilarious why he doesn't, and it summarizes up actually his personality. So if you imagine him not taking an interest in football, try and put 2 and 2 together. But I think now actually he could do with a nice 2-week rest. But Ben White's phenomenal. Just quickly, chaps. I mean, what's his ceiling? Could he become? I mean, we've been lucky. We've seen sort of Dixon, Lauren, Sanya over the years. Could he be the best of the lot?
He could, but he's young enough. The thing is, he's intelligent as well. Look what's happened to him recently since the return. He's overlapping, but he's inverting as well. He's inverting very cleverly. He's not doing it all the time like a Zinchenko. He's doing it with a real thought, allowing a Saliba to come on the outside. He's really, really intelligent. I love that about him. It's all, again, it's stuff that you don't see. We all know the Benny Blanco with the shithousery and all this kind of stuff. But his positioning and his intelligence is just really, really good. And I think that's why Arteta likes him at the right back role. He's not the fastest, but he's the most cleverest in his positioning. He knows, I'll invert here. I'll let this player go. I'll let and also he's also very available. I love, like he's got this telepathic relationship with Saka. I know where you're going to go. I like this the little dink ball. He does this little cheeky little dink ball into Saka all the time, and it's just so. I think he can be. I think he's different from anybody else. He's not an atypical right back. He is that modern kind of centre back inverting. He's got the physical attributes, and I think that's why Arteta keeps playing him, and that's why he's resting him. To your point, Faisal, because he's worried that without Tomiyasu being regularly available, who else can do that role to that degree with that proficiency?
How good can Ben White be?
He can be. He can be the best. He can be. I think ultimately when you try and compare over eras, it's difficult because obviously a lot of the time your thoughts are clouded by the success that the team had, and it's obviously easier to look back upon players and be more fond because of the good times. But when you take it into isolation and you actually look at him and what he offers and the monster he is when he's fit and firing at the moment, yeah, the sky's the limit for him, mate. And we're looking through the squad, and there's many players in here. We've got such a likable squad that are just so full of physicality, intelligence. Arteta's created a monster here, mate, and it's all now. We're there. We've got it. We've got the squad available to us. We've got so much variation. We've got so much intelligence, so much strength, so much ability. It's now down to Mikel. It really is down to Mikel now. But yeah, with regards to Benny Blanco, mate, he's top level. Keep him going, keep him fit, and keep enjoying him pissing people off.
Indeed, Xander saying, like Superman, when he needs a recharge, he flies into space, bathes in the sun. Benny is our Love Island Superman, Love Island Maldini, I've heard as well, which is great. What a player! What a player, Benjamin White. I salute you, my friend, and I'm falling in love with him. Like
he's off to Dubai again, isn't he? Because he can do it now. He doesn't need to. He's probably gone already.
But I think he's one of the most intriguing characters, and I'm so in love with this guy. Right, before we move on to what happened at Anfield, let's just quickly summarise what an amazing start it's been this calendar year. And let's stick with you because you've not been on the show for a while. In the build-up to fixtures, when you sort of forecast and you think, that it's that one fixture at the Etihad, we all set ourselves, or we all convince ourselves that, right, we've got to get maximum points for as many games as we can until we get to that point. Well, here we are, 8 Premier Leagues out of 8 in 2024. Palace, Forest, beating Liverpool emphatically, West Ham away, which is amazing, Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United setting records. Brentford, not quite as swashbuckling, but we got the 3 points, and that's the most important thing. We've got a tough fixture against Porto, but it's the one on the horizon at the Etihad. What more could you ask of Arteta Ball? And I guess, the pillar towards all of this is the other two chaps on the right-hand side. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, them two are just... I've not seen a partnership like this at Arsenal for years and years. Mate, they are just sensational. Gabriel Magalhaes has to be, hands down, the most underrated centre-back on the planet. Like, Arsenal fans are obviously seeing it week in, week out, but this guy, the mentality of the bloke. They're just animals. But, yeah, I mean, the way Arteta's picked up after that, as I said, that tough spell, we were sort of written off. People talking about us struggling to get top 4 at one stage. And the response to come back, to evolve as a team, as I keep alluding to, we have this season. It's quite a rare season for us that we've started slower. We're moving, we're evolving, we're changing. Players are coming into their form, coming into peak form. You've got people sat there on the bench that are absolutely itching to come in and make differences in games. And yeah, we looked at them results, and like you said, to have a chance of winning the title, you would need to be winning them games. What that's now allowed us to do is go to the Etihad and be in a situation that it's not over. But if we can go there and win, it gives us a 2-game cushion, because them 4 points above City, that's huge. With them only picking up a point today, it allows us to go 4 clear if you go there and win. And what an opportunity, what a prize to have. It means that you've then got 9 games left, and you would have to lose 2 and City win 2, for them to, especially with a goal difference situation, which has been enormous. And that, what we 7 or 8 clear on goals, it's going to be very hard to catch that up if we're winning games. So the performance has been exceptional. The way we've been demolishing teams at times has been Harlem Globetrotter stuff. I mean, I know Sheffield United are absolutely pony, but my word, mate, some of the football we're playing in these games, we're just turning up and obliterating teams. But it's the intelligence, the speed, the movement. Everyone knows what they're doing. It's so finely tuned. The set pieces. How many goals we got? 19 goals, is it, from set pieces this season? Something ridiculous.
20,
I mean,
it's 20 now. It's
20, yeah.
Now.
I mean, it just. I mean, to be fair, Gabriel nearly scored, didn't he, the other day off the line?
He should have scored. He should have had.
Yeah, but
the
threat. Yeah, the threat we are, and these two guys in that picture, for me, epitomise what we're all about at the moment. We are strong, so physical, so intelligent. We've got a backbone. We've got belief. We are a really, really good team. But Liverpool and Man City are fantastic as well. They're absolutely. This game earlier was brilliant to watch. Like proper Barclays football. It's so good. But we are there, and we have got this squad. And for years, it's for me always been down. How can Mikel manage his squad? The questions have been there. You know, he's been disappointing in cups down the years. Obviously, after his first year winning him, but he has flattered to deceive a bit when the goings got tough, and you have got to rotate the squad. And we need to respond Tuesday. We need to absolutely respond Tuesday because it's a big game for Mikel Arteta. You cannot be going out to Porto in this with an opportunity like this. You cannot. It would really hurt us. So I think we respond Tuesday. It's the biggest week of the season. I said on Saturday, you need to beat Brentford no matter how you do it. And then you win on Tuesday, and then you're in a Champions League draw on the Friday. It's the biggest week of the season. Then you've got 2 weeks to sit there, prepare everything you can, and go to the Etihad and get something because we're good enough. We went to Anfield, we got something. We slapped them at home. We done today what Liverpool couldn't do. We done against City at home what Liverpool couldn't do. We found a way of winning the game, you know. And it's been a long time since you look at your top rivals and you can say we're unbeaten and we were bloody good against them, and we weren't just scraping through the game. We deserve what we got. We deserve what we got against Liverpool on both occasions. We deserve what we got against City at home. So it's sad to think that it might come down to something as important as City away. But if we can go there and get a result, you know, we're really, really in a good position. But we're gonna all them ticks and all them wins that you see down there. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to keep replicating it. We're gonna have to be consistent. We're gonna have to be ruthless. We're gonna have to be that all inspiring team that just goes out and takes everything in its stride. And I'm fairly confident with the amount of leaders, how settled everyone is. Everyone knows we had that pain last year. We had that experience. We realised we shit ourselves, mate, and it all went to pot. But we've done it now, and we're here and we're back. Let's see what we got. What have we got about us? But I'll tell you now, every single one of them players will be buzzing. They'll be absolutely buzzing for Tuesday, and they won't want 2 weeks off. But we're going to know thick and fast, 9 games. For fans, it's going to hurt. For the players, it's going to hurt. But if we can go into the middle of April, back end of April, being right in that race, imagine start of May, 4 games left. We're there, mate. We're there. And the strength of the squad is there. Everyone's coming back at the right time. We've got key players like Thomas Partey's barely kicked a ball for us all season. He's incredible. I know he looked like a 50-year-old granddad coming on in the last 2 games, bless him. But, once he gets back in there again, it's another option, another intelligence. Zinni's coming back in there. We've got options. It's so exciting. And I just like the looks on their faces, like you allude to in the tunnel and things like that. We're a serious animal. And even now, I get the feeling that the press and the pundits and things like that, it's all about Liverpool and City. It was all last week they were talking about, it'll be top versus second. No, it won't. No, it won't, because we'll beat Brentford and go top of the league. It'll be second versus third. And even today, it's almost like a dismissive look at Arsenal. They don't want to write us off because we're so good, but they sort of don't want to admit that we are as good as we are. So
I prefer that. I prefer to be just in the background. I don't want, I want us to grind away, get the result, and then we just, surge at the last minute rather than last season where we were leading for so long.
Well, let's talk about that, because you can see in the graphic there, Mikel Arteta is lurking in the background. It was all even, as you say, at Anfield. GM, your thoughts on today's game? I think in the pre-match sort of preview late night latte that we did on Friday night, I was asked a question. I asked Wayne the question, and I said, I need Liverpool to be humbled. I then also went on to say that I think City are going to win the league. And then one of our articulate, astute viewers was like, well, Fies, if you want City to get the win and you think they're going to win the league, then surely Liverpool need to win. I was an emotional mess, but I think the draw, now that it's happened, is probably the right result. And there's a reason why I brought the stats up on screen, and I'll finish with you on that so bear with me. But Yem, your thoughts on today's game, and I guess how you think the title race kind of looks now, and how it's gonna sort of pan out in the last few minutes of tonight's show.
It's really hard to say because I hate to say this, and I really hate to say this. Liverpool were the better team today. In the second half, they were all over Man City. I've never seen Man City that rattled in terms of attacking, the amount of attacks being drawn and the mistakes being made. And obviously there was a big moment towards the end, which we all know what it was. City, I don't think City were at their best. I don't think they've been at their best for a number of weeks, to be honest. I think they've flattered to the sea. The Champions League was, it's the Champions League. They're a machine, but they are not at top gear, which worries me slightly. In that, at some point, you think surely they're going to hit top gear and they're going to be the monster that we know. Today wasn't it? Definitely. I thought, okay, they got the goal and they had a few opportunities, but they weren't. To me personally, they weren't the Man City that we know, where they're very robotic, moving the ball around. They were disrupted. Liverpool were very good at disrupting them, even with a weakened squad. If you look at the injuries Liverpool have got, I honestly thought this was it. City have the chance to absolutely go and batter Liverpool, given their injuries. But no, Liverpool keep coming. Jurgen Klopp just somehow gets these players up a level. The only problem that Liverpool had is Darwin Núñez does not know what the offside line is or how to play offside, because, my God, the amount of times he was offside was ridiculous. But it's a credit to Jurgen Klopp. Some of these players look absolutely unreal. Bradley looks like a top player. I think he's going to be a Clark. They lost Trent and they found Bradley, and it's just like, what do you do? Szoboszlai's coming back. Szoboszlai was pretty decent today. Mo Salah is back. I think they, if we're all being realistic, hand on heart, Liverpool should have won that game. The draw is a good result. I wanted a draw from this game, and it was good that we got that. But Liverpool still, I think, will take confidence in the fact that they were the better team, which worries me because Liverpool, on paper, correct me if I'm wrong, have got the easiest bunch of fixtures in terms of what compared to the.
I've seen a lot of that. I don't buy it. I mean, I think all the fixture run-ins are so unpredictable. And there are some tough fixtures for all three of the teams.
Yeah, and now because obviously they're in the Europa League, the Europa League has restarted again. That's obviously going to play a factor into it as the games get harder. So hopefully that comes in. But we have, the problem is we've all predicted this kind of drop off from Liverpool because, the XG, all the stats, it just doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be where they are, but they are. And I think they'll be there till the end. I think this is just going to be one of the tightest races for years. I'm loving it because it's so nip and tuck. It's 1 point, it's 2 points between us. It was a fascinating game today in terms of chess and how things were going. Doku could have won it last minute. It was ebbing and flowing, and I really liked it. But on the whole game, I thought Liverpool were the better team, which just worries me slightly for this run-in. But perfect result for us.
Nick RN81 says City were rattled by Liverpool's press and intensity. And the reason why I brought up those stats is because, again, as Jem said, Liverpool, they carved City open time and time again. And, 19 shots on goal against the City team, 6 shots on target each. Let's be fair. City were efficient. They were clever with their goal, certainly Kevin De Bruyne with that set piece. When you look at those numbers, does that give you hope? Beyond Arsenal's form and our own sort of team and the way that we play, but do you think City are there to be taken at the Etihad? Is my question. Are you as an Arsenal fan going to Manchester expecting Arsenal to win?
Mate, it's a huge opportunity, absolutely huge opportunity to go, regardless of the result. We can't go there and try and hide. It's not the time to do that. It's a time to stand up and show you got massive bollocks, mate. It's time to stand up there with your Declan Rice, your 2 centre-backs, your big boys throughout the spine of the team. It's stand up and be counted. We are good enough. We proved it. I said to you earlier, Liverpool, you can look at all the stats you like, but the reality is they didn't find a way. That's the truth. They did not find a way. We found a way. We got the result. We beat City. And by the way, City, same as our point there, Anfield, we know it's a very, very difficult place to go, but City showed their quality by standing up and being counted. They got a bit lucky. but they kept themselves in the game under immense pressure, absolutely immense pressure. The keeper going off, they were the masters of their own downfall, giving away the penalty. But we should be going to the Etihad so confident, so confident in our own ability, because we are good. We are serious team. And if there's anyone that's going to give City problems, it's us. And they're going to be absolutely up for it. The amount of times we've been there and just folded. Last season was so painful watching Rob Holding against Haaland. But that's not us now. We are going there rested, 2 weeks rested. Touch wood, nothing happens in the international break, but we are rested. We are fully fit. We're firing. We've got big key players back. There's so many storylines. There's so many battles within the game. Like Ben White up against Doku, or possibly if Jack Grealish is back in, and then you've got Haaland against our two centre backs, and then there's magical stories all over the pitch. Declan Rice in there with Rodri, and there's just serious quality in this football match, and it's going to be like it was at Anfield. It's going to be enthralling. It's going to be fast paced. But I'll tell you what, it will be. It will not be the Arsenal of old that turn up and fold. That is not us anymore. We are the character in this squad. We are not there to just fold. If we go behind, I would not be concerned, because I genuinely believe we've got enough about us to cause them big problems. And as you say, if we go there, and as I alluded to earlier, the win sends them 2 games behind you. And that is huge. If you can get a point there, it's phenomenal. If you lose, it's not over. You're still only within 1 game, And as you said, Faisal, the fixtures, mate, I don't really look at them. You take it game by game. At this stage of the season, it's so difficult. Teams are fighting for their lives. We've seen shock results happen for years, up and down. So anything can happen. I mean, the year City won the league, they were losing to QPR at home. I know they got over the line in the end, but no game is easy. There's not an easy game. So this is as big as it gets. The Etihad, it is as big as it gets for the situation we're in. But we've put ourselves in a position by winning them previous 8 that it isn't the end, and it could well have been the end. We could have been going to the Etihad, going 5 or 6, 7 points behind City, but no, we've been absolute nuts. Our goal difference is astonishing now. We've really put ourselves in a position to stake our claim and say, look, we're the Arsenal, we're the bollocks. We are going to come here and we're going to do you some damage at the Etihad. And I think we can. And we should be extremely confident, extremely full of belief. And why not? Why not just go there and do it?
Why not, indeed? Otherwise, you get the juices flowing, man, every time. There's a comment from Sahil Shukla. Says he thinks he has to go to City. We have to go to City and win. And if we do, we become favourites for the title. O'Malley saying Kyle Walker with all the trash talking too. Look, listen, Baldy's already gone off at the mind games. Pep Guardiola in the post-match conference talking about Arsenal winning games in 20-25 minutes. It's going to be an interesting few weeks. Ian saying he's quietly confident. Flipdoc saying, remember we beat City at home without Saka? Absolutely. Trevor De Vega, he's loving the emotional sort of team talk. It also goes on to say, we believe, but we do have FC Porto first, and we will talk about maybe that during the week. But for now, I think we're going to leave it there because we've talked quite a lot and we've gone for just over an hour and 15. But before we go, I do need to bring up the Premier League table, which I normally do. So
I can't think why you want to bring it up. Why would you want to bring it?
Mate, I don't know. I don't know. Right. Courtesy of PremierLeague.com. Hopefully you guys can see that on your screens right now. Arsenal are top of the tree, having beaten Brentford by 2-1. Look at those 5 greens, man. Hopefully we can maintain that. It is Manchester City up next at the Etihad for us at the end of the month. Liverpool in second after their 1-1 draw. They are joint on points with us and they have an inferior goal difference, +7 the difference. Manchester City in third. What a title race this is going to be. 64, 64, 63. Aston Villa, Unai Emery doing what he does best. We know how this story ends. Pumped at home to Tottenham Hotspur. John McGinn, of course, getting sent off at Villa Park. They are still in fourth. They still have a 2-point gap, but of course Spurs have that game in hand. Egghead at Old Trafford, Manchester United, 47 points. They are in 6th place. West Ham in 7th, Brighton in 8th. We've got Brighton after City, I believe. And Wolves dropping down. If we scroll down to the bottom half of the table, Sheffield United firmly bottom. They are level on points with Burnley. Luton Town, who are trying so desperately hard to get out of relegation. They have a game in hand over Nottingham Forest and they are 3 points behind with a -1 goal difference disadvantage. Everton in 16th, they have some points being docked at some point, I'm sure. And of course, Brentford, our opposition from yesterday, in 15th place. Chaps, as I end the league table sort of section, let me just fade the music down. In one word, are we winning this league? Yembele?
Yes.
Are we winning this league?
It's happening.
That's two words. That's 2 words.
I'm too excited, yeah. To be fair, mate, I just genuinely believe, mate, we're gonna fucking do it. Come on, why not?
But it's different from last year. It's different from last year in that we're not going. This is really a measured campaign in terms of everything. The game, the way we approach the game, the way we've come into this title race. That's the difference this year. I'm like I don't see it being the same as last year where we crumbled. I see it being, regardless of what happens, we're going to be there at the end. We're going to be there. As you said, 2 teams are going to be heartbroken, but we are in the conversation. I'd rather be in the conversation than playing for the scraps, like Tottenham do. Let's be honest. Where would you rather be? In the business end at the business end of the season, in the title race, or scrapping for a possible Champions League place? I'm so glad we are there, and the boys have done it to bring us into that level. Again, the Etihad is a massive one. The 9 games afterwards are going to be massive, but loving it. I can't wait to get back to the Emirates. I'm honestly so annoyed at the moment that I have not been for like 2 months. It's really doing my head in.
I know. Vive Lad saying unrecognisable Yem. He's positive. He's in the mood. Can I just also highlight a comment here from Footy Mad PDX, who says, first time watching live, and I must say you do a fantastic job, lad. Subscribed, and I'll definitely be back for more Up the Arsenal. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. According to StreamYard, there are 3,242 of you watching.
They're here for was. They're not here for us. They're here for was.
I don't know what to say. I mean, unless there's an error or a glitch, I can see that there are over 500 of you watching live on YouTube, and I can see that there are 2,800 and whatever of you watching on X. I mean, thank you is all I'm going to say. Please do like the content on whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please like the video. It's a massive help to the channel. It raises the profile. If you're on Twitter, of course, get involved and follow Latte Firm. And you can tune into all of the shows on Apple or Spotify if you've just joined us, or watch it on demand on YouTube. I think we're going to leave it there, chaps. It's been a really great show, and it feels always great to be top of the league. It's FC Porto coming to the Emirates on Tuesday night, which is going to be an immense game. Cannot wait for that. Anybody who wants to follow Yembele, he is at Verge59. Get involved on socials. Was taking a break from socials at the moment. You might be back at some point, but just keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy the game, obviously, on Tuesday night. Look after yourself. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. And thanks to all of you. There are thousands of you who've tuned in live onto tonight's show. I appreciate you all so much. I love making this content, and I'm just so glad that you guys take time out of your busy schedules to tune in and to watch. We will leave it there. So look after yourselves. Enjoy Monday. Walk into work, walk into school, walk into college with a spring in your step. The Arsenal are top of the league, and it's FC Porto coming up in the Champions League on Tuesday. Bye for now.